Oh boy, it doesn't stop. Now the chairman of the British Defence Committee in the House of Commons has resigned due to the continued criticism of his video call to reopen his country's embassy in Afghanistan. Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood announced the move on Wednesday evening via the online platform X, this formerly Twitter. Although he believes that he still has a majority of members on the committee behind him, the dynamics and effectiveness are not the same without the support of everyone. In the video, which was published in mid-July and deleted soon afterwards, Ellwood praised Afghanistan's alleged progress since the Taliban came to power in the summer of 2021. Among other things, he spoke of an improved security situation and corruption, and opium cultivation had been curbed, and he called for cooperation to be resumed. Ellwood's video was met with harsh criticism from fellow MPs, as well as human rights and women's rights activists, because, for example, it hardly addressed the exclusion of girls and women from education and public life. According to the BBC, United Nations figures also show that, far from decreasing, opium cultivation has increased. The Tory MP had previously made many enemies in his own group by demanding that Great Britain should re-enter the European internal market. After the video was published, he came under pressure from several quarters, and he was threatened with a vote of no confidence. Tobias Ellwood is a British politician who has served as the Member of Parliament for Bournemouth East since 2005, and he is a member of the Conservative Party. Ellwood voted to remain in the European Union in the 2016 referendum. However, he has since said that he accepts the result of the referendum and that the UK must now move on. But Ellwood has been critical of the government's handling of Brexit, particularly the Northern Ireland Protocol. He has also called for the UK to rejoin the European single market, as I said. And in June 22, Ellwood was one of 21 Conservative MPs who voted against the government's plan to give Boris Johnson the power to override parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol. This vote led to Ellwood being sacked from his position as Minister of State for Defence and for People and Veterans. And Ellwood has said that he believes the UK should rejoin the European single market in order to fix Brexit. He has argued that the single market would provide the UK with access to a larger market and would help to reduce the cost of living, although he doesn't understand the system of the single market by saying this. Ellwood's views on Brexit are not shared by all Conservative MPs. However, he's not the only Conservative MP who has called for the UK to rejoin the single market. I need to tell them a lot of things, I guess. A number of other Conservative MPs have also expressed concerns about the impact of Brexit. But it remains to be seen how they want to rejoin the single market in the future. They should tell me. But Ellwood's views are a sign that there was a growing debate within the Conservative Party about the future of Brexit, and that's why he was a target. In addition to his views on Brexit, Ellwood is also a vocal critic of the government's foreign policy. He has been critical of the government's withdrawal from Afghanistan and its handling of the war in Ukraine. Ellwood is a controversial figure, but he's also a respected politician. He was for a long time seen as a potential future leader of the Conservative Party. But the fight between Brexiteers and Remainers within the Conservative Party has been a major source of division in British politics since the Brexit referendum on the UK's membership of the European Union. The Brexiteers are those who campaigned for the UK to leave the EU, while the Remainers are those who campaigned for the UK to remain in the EU. And the two sides have fundamentally different views on the UK's relationship with the EU, and these differences have led to a great deal of acrimony and bitterness. The Brexiteers argue that the UK would be better off far away from the EU, as it would be able to control its own borders, laws, and trade policy. They also argue that the EU is undemocratic and bureaucratic. The undemocratic part is very funny coming from Britain. And the Remainers argue that the UK is stronger and more prosperous when they were a member of the EU, and they also argue that leaving the EU damaged the UK's economy and its relationship with its European neighbours, which it did. And the fight between Brexiteers and Remainers has been particularly divisive within the Conservative Party. The party has a long history of being pro-European, but the 2016 referendum led to a split in the party, with many Conservative MPs becoming vocal supporters of Brexit. The split has led to a great deal of instability within the Conservative Party. The party has had 3 different leaders since the 2016 referendum, and it has been unable to really agree on a coherent plan for Brexit. And the fight between Brexiteers and Remainers is likely to continue to be a major source of division within the Conservative Party for many years to come. It's the fight that has the potential to tear the party apart. But there are some specific examples of the ways in which the fight between Brexiteers and Remainers has played out within the Conservative Party. In 2018, Theresa May, who was then Prime Minister, faced a revolt from her own party over her Brexit deal. The deal was rejected by the House of Commons 3 times, and May was eventually forced to resign. In 2019, Boris Johnson became Prime Minister after promising to get Brexit done. However, he has also faced opposition from within his own party, with some Conservative MPs accusing him of not doing enough to deliver Brexit. And in June 2022, 21 Conservative MPs were expelled from the party for voting against the government's plan to give Boris Johnson the power to override parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol. And this was the first time that such a number of Conservative MPs had been expelled from the party for voting against the government since the 1920s. The fight between Brexiteers and Remainers is indeed a divisive issue, and it's an issue that is likely to continue to be debated for many years to come, as I said. But the Conservative Party has indeed been increasingly controlled by the extreme right wing in recent years. This is due in part to the rise of populism and nationalism in the UK, as well as the party's own internal divisions over Brexit. The extreme right wing of the Conservative Party is made up of MPs and activists who hold a number of far-right views, including opposition to immigration, Islam, and multiculturalism. They also tend to be Eurosceptic and support a hard line on Brexit. This wing of the party has become increasingly influential in recent years, and it has been able to push the party's agenda to the right. This is evident in the party's policies on immigration, crime, and social welfare, and also on demonstrations. The rise of the extreme right wing of the Conservative Party has been a cause for concern for many people. They worry that the party is becoming increasingly intolerant and that its policies are harmful to minority groups. There are a number of factors that have contributed to the rise of the extreme right wing of the Conservative Party. And as I said, one of this was the rise of populism and nationalism in the UK. Populism is a political ideology that appeals to the common people and often scapegoats minority groups. Nationalism is a belief in the superiority of one's own nation and its culture. Both of these ideologies have been on the rise in the UK in recent years, and they have played a role in the growth of the extreme right wing of the Conservative Party. And the party's own internal divisions over Brexit are another topic. They have been deeply divided over Brexit, and this has created an opportunity for the extreme right wing to gain influence. The extreme right wing has been able to position itself as the party's true Brexiteers, and this has helped them to gain support from many Conservative MPs. And then there was at the time the decline of the Labour Party. The Labour Party has traditionally been the main opposition to the Conservative Party, but it has been in the decline in the Brexit years. And this has created a vacuum in British politics, which the extreme right wing of the Conservative Party has been able to fill, and all thanks to Corbyn. The rise of the extreme right wing of the Conservative Party is a worrying development. It is important to be aware of this trend and to challenge the far-right views that are being promoted by this wing of the party. But since the Corbyn time, Labour is on the rise again and far ahead in all the polls at the moment. So we will see how this will influence the whole thing. At the moment, the numbers only influence the British Tories to go even further to the right in several occasions. So the right-wingers could even gain more influence. And if you want to see the next video right now, it's right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.